How would you describe your looks? Very attractive, average.
You can't put very attractive on it. It looks like arrogance, doesn't it? So, put attractive. She'll see me.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 The Office UK moments.
Oh, he's Elaine. She left you yet? Yeah. Alright, see you then. She has left him, I forgot about that.
For this list, we'll be looking at the most memorable sequences from the original British version of this sitcom. Some plot points will be discussed, so beware of potential spoilers ahead. Which scene is your favourite? Let us know in the comments below. Number 20, Austin Powers. Following his very, very brief time on television, David Brent starts making celebrity club appearances. Of course, he always finds a way of David Brenting it. One such appearance has 3 celebrities playing a blind date game with a young woman. The other 2 men are charismatic and personable, not to mention well liked by the crowd. David, however, shows up dressed as Austin Powers and makes awkward shagadelic jokes to a dead silent audience.
Contestant number 2. Everyone thinks...
Shagadelic, baby. Groovy. Oh, yeah.
Not only that, but he starts getting hostile with the woman when she doesn't recognise him or find him funny. This is pure David Brent, ruining an otherwise fun moment with his insecurities and try-hard personality. It's what makes him who he is.
Which character do you resemble?
Austin Powers, that's what I was doing before you ruined it.
Number 19, If You Don't Know Me By Now. At the end of the second series, David is finally made redundant by Wernham Hogg. He's given a generous severance package and later sues the company, but of course he blew his earnings. We learn that he spent £42,000 starting a record company and making a single.
How much did that cost, putting out a single?
Costs is a bit misleading because I was paying for everything. I paid for the studio time, PR costs all myself.
Roughly, how much do you think you spent?
Roughly £42,000.
It wasn't a horrible idea, because David actually has some musical talent. However, by the time we catch up with him, he's already ruined everything by making a horrible cover of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, If You Don't Know Me By Now. Not only is his rendition horrible, but the accompanying music video is truly dreadful stuff. It's hilarious, yes, but in a so bad it's good way. Unsurprisingly, the single did not sell well.
I released my own single, so if that's a waste of money...
Well, it is a waste of money because you didn't even get in the top 100.
Good, didn't want it to. Next.
Number 18, The Appraisals. This is one of those rare moments when we actually see David Brent doing some managerial work. He's appraising the staff, to mixed results. Naturally, things fall apart when he does Tim's review. It's a wonderfully acted and written bit of television, complete with the hot seat bit and David plagiarising quotes from well-known figures.
I think our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall.
Are you reading these?
Am I what?
Reading the quotes?
Sort of. It doesn't...
Right. Confucius.
This scene took Ricky Gervais and Martin Freeman over 25 takes to get right, but it was worth it. The fun doesn't stop there either. David is actually quite professional with Keith, who brings plenty of laughs. He's clearly not taking it seriously, barely filled out the form, and best of all, he put eczema as a weakness. They may be subpar appraisals by business standards, but they never get old.
Was there anything else you could have put there? Oh, okay. Under weaknesses, you've put eczema.
Number 17, David begs for his job. It's not often that we actually feel sympathy for David, but in this case, it's hard not to. After 2 seasons of sheer tomfoolery, not to mention incompetence, he's finally let go from Wernham Hogg.
We'd like to offer you a very generous redundancy package.
Are you offering me it, or are you telling me I've got to take it?
But he's not ready to go. In a surprising moment of humanity, he bares his soul to Neil and Jennifer. His eyes well up with tears and his voice cracks as he desperately begs for his job, but it's no use. We have to give plenty of credit to Ricky Gervais here. He somehow manages to find the human being underneath the obnoxious jokes, pseudo-intellectualism, and annoying need to be liked. It just goes to show that even the most hard-to-love characters have layers.
I will try twice hard. I really will. I know I've been complacent, and I'll turn this place around if we just say that it's not definite now.
Number 16, Dawn opens her Secret Santa gift. The Office isn't all about David Brent. There's a rich cast of supporting characters, led by Dawn and Tim. At this point in the show, Dawn has moved to the United States, leaving a heartbroken Tim stuck in Slough by himself. She returns to the office to film a Christmas special, and Tim gets her a lovely Secret Santa gift.
What about Secret Santas?
Well, I'm sure you'll cope. I'll go and get the coat, sorry.
Encouraging her desire to be an artist, he buys her an oil painting set and accompanies it with a literal note of optimism. This is made especially poignant because her fiancé Lee doesn't support her painting. She cries, the audience cries, and the office proves that it has a heart as big as its laughs are loud.
And Dawn was a ray of sunshine in my life, and it meant a lot. But if I'm really being honest, I never really thought it would have a happy ending.
Number 15, Gareth's Ultimate Fantasy. Season 1's training episode is an obvious fan favourite. It's filled with peak David Brentisms, and the supporting cast are on point throughout. Poor facilitator Rowan is trying to get everyone to partake in a trust exercise by sharing their biggest dream. Unfortunately, his eyes happen across Gareth, who has recently come into the room carrying a board. The latter character forgoes the usual stuff to share a rather inappropriate sexual fantasy with the Office.
We're just doing the Ultimate Fantasy, we're all doing it.
2 lesbians, probably. Sisters. I'm just watching.
The deafening silence and Tim's look of utter bewilderment say it all. The answer itself is wild enough, but the speediness with which Gareth delivers it adds an extra layer of humour. He's had this imaginary scenario in his head for a while, it seems.
Tim, do you have one?
I never thought I'd say this, but can I hear more from Gareth, please?
Number 14, Quiz Night. With David Brent and Chris Finch, a fun quiz night turns into a tense competition to rival the World Cup. The duo are cocky and arrogant throughout the night, but things take a turn when a temp named Ricky beats Chris at the tiebreaker. The latter character rudely berates Gareth for improperly stating the rules before sulking and throwing a hissy fit.
No wonder this place is going down the pan. You're a waste of bloody time.
Hey, don't get at him just because they beat you.
Wishing to retain his pride and trivia champion status, he then vows to throw a shoe over the bar's roof. What this proves, we don't know. It's just meant to heal his wounded ego. Chris's insecurities manifest in passive-aggressive behaviour, and it makes for very uncomfortable viewing. Of course, that's entirely the point.
If I do it, we win the quiz.
New challenge.
How does that work?
Double or
It's
quits.
a challenge.
Yeah. So you choose anything, if you can throw it over, we've won the champagne, and that's it, and that's the real quiz.
Number 13, David pranks Dawn. By the end of the first episode, we have a very good idea of who David Brent is. And, well, it's not a pretty picture. As if his behaviour throughout the episode wasn't bad enough, he ends it with one of his most deplorable moments. Hoping to impress new hire Ricky, David pulls a prank on Dawn and pretends to fire her.
As you are aware, there are going to be redundancies, and you've made my life easier, in as much as I'm going to have to let you go first.
What?
Ricky thought it would be something harmless, and he can only sit in stunned silence as Dawn begins to cry. This misaimed prank perfectly illustrates all the dark humour that's to come, while also depicting David's penchant for making inappropriate jokes. In short, it's a great way to end the inaugural episode.
Good girl. That's a joke we were doing. Well done, settling in. Practical jokes for the good.
Number 12, Mana Mana. In one of the show's most bizarre moments, we're treated to a rendition of Mana Mana from The Muppets. Gareth begins singing almost immediately after sitting down to start the day, and another employee enthusiastically joins in. Tim only sits there jiggling his pencil and probably contemplating his life choices. It's a cute moment, but it's not exactly funny. That is until David shows up. In a perfect bit of timing and staging, he suddenly appears in the doorway and begins the song again. And when they're done, he proudly mutters, "Muppets," to show off his vast wealth of knowledge. He just can't help himself, and it's something to behold. Number 11, David's speech. David doesn't make a great impression on the Swindon lot. Shortly after the merger, he introduces himself through a startling failure of a monologue. Neil's intro goes well, but David follows it up with what could possibly be the most embarrassing speech ever given. He starts with a horribly inappropriate joke, and it only devolves from there.
That gets the real start. That was just, it was putting me off.
He grows increasingly upset when his jokes fail to land, and it all culminates in some horrible impressions that leave his audience unimpressed. We all know that David tends to seethe with frustration whenever his humour fails to find a receptive audience, which is often. This moment is among the greatest and most painfully hilarious examples of that character trait in action.
Oh, come on! Try something, and that's... Oh.
Thanks, David.
Huh?
Thanks.
Whatever. Just...
Number 10, Dawn rejects Tim. The Office did not have a happy ending, at least not originally. The second series concludes with David getting fired and Dawn leaving Tim to wallow in slough while she flies off to America. Her rejecting him makes for a devastating sequence, and it's made all the more poignant through the filmmaking. Wanting some privacy, Tim turns off his microphone while he talks to Dawn. This leaves viewers bursting with anticipation as we wait with bated breath for her to silently reciprocate his feelings. But instead, they share a friendly, if mournful, hug, and he returns to his desk utterly dejected. He puts on a brave face while sharing the rejection with the camera, and our hearts break into a million pieces.
She said no, by the way.
Number 9, Keith's word of warning. Keith is always ready with a very, well, interesting piece of advice. After Dawn returns to the office for the Christmas party, Keith becomes worried that Tim will embarrass himself yet again. So he has a little talk with him in the break room. He gives him a friendly word of warning, which is mainly just crude language and graphic sexual gestures.
What do I owe you for this session? You're obviously such an expert with the ladies. Yeah?
Not only that, but his warning amounts to telling Tim that he only has one day with Dawn, as if the poor guy wasn't already fully aware of that fact. Keith biting into the Scotch egg is the perfect ending to an already perfect scene. Number 8, motivational mishap. For some reason, a consulting business enlists David's services as a motivational speaker. Naturally, he's ecstatic. Yes, the job pays very well, but more importantly, it gives him an air of distinction and respect. Of course, he immediately squanders the chance with a motivational mishap that has viewers giggling through their fingers. It's yet another example of David blowing it in front of a small audience, not to mention a perfect illustration of how out of touch he is. He thinks he's giving an uplifting and inspirational speech that will be passed down through generations and become legend. Of course, the truth is far more embarrassing, but you can't deny it's entertaining for us at home.
Good.
You finishing it?
No, I'm in the...
Number 7, the IT guy. Actor Matthew Holness deserves some major props for turning a bit part with minimal screen time into one of the show's most unforgettable characters.
I hit the ramp, I took off in the air, I turned over in the air, and they were going, well, he's definitely dead now. I landed on my wheels, pulled over and said, what were you worried about?
Simon, the IT guy, makes a trip to the office to put firewalls in place. But Tim isn't a fan of his, and it isn't long before he's overstayed his welcome, though he wanted him to stay forever. Simon regales Gareth with obviously made-up stories before arrogantly having a go at him for mixing up Enter the Dragon with Way of the Dragon.
Not seen him fight Chuck Norris in Enter the Dragon. I've seen him fight Chuck Norris in Way of the Dragon.
That's what I meant.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why did you say you'd seen him fight Chuck Norris in Enter the Dragon?
In other words, he fits in pretty well. Everything from the acting to the writing to the casting is perfect here, and it makes for some legendary comedy.
What he did was he faked his own death so that he could work undercover for the Hong Kong police, infiltrating drugs gangs in the triads.
Yeah, I reckon that's true.
Number 6, David's blind date. The Office contains many amazingly cringeworthy moments, but David's blind date is on a whole other level. It doesn't even start well. He's obviously expecting some type of supermodel, and when he sees the woman, Susan, he nearly bails right then and there.
David?
Yeah, hiya.
Susan?
Yeah.
It's a fantastic bit of acting from Ricky Gervais. We can almost see the nerves firing in the character's brain as he calculates a potential escape. It doesn't get better from there. David and Susan sit in a painfully awkward silence before talking about classical music, cows, and lemons. It's not long before he's getting hostile again, clearly frustrated at his date's physical appearance and obvious lack of interest in his weird facts.
Well, I wouldn't know if that was true or not.
Wow, you would, because I just told you it is, and I'm not a liar. No, look it up when you get home.
This is just painful stuff. It's hysterical, but painful. Number 5, the stapler in Jell-O. As we mentioned, the show's opening episode is a perfect bit of exposition, setting up the characters, their traits, and their relationships with flawless precision. For example, it takes just one scene to realise the somewhat playful, somewhat strained work relationship between Tim Canterbury and Gareth Keenan.
Put my stapler inside a jelly again. That's the third time he's done it. It wasn't even funny the first time.
Tim has put Gareth's stapler in Jell-O, which makes for a wonderful little bit of physical comedy. Even better, David is involved. He heroically tells the camera that he hates food waste because people are starving, once again making the moment about him and his unshakable virtue.
Well, don't do that. Well, eat it out. There's people starving in the world, which I hate. So, and it's a waste.
Of course, it's all for show, but no matter how many years pass, we'll never forget Tim's ingenious little joke.
Give him an official warning.
How do you know it was me?
It's always you.
Number 4, Dawn and Tim's kiss. After the tragic ending of Series 2, we needed a little happiness. Luckily, the Christmas special delivered. It is the season, after all. After receiving her gift from Tim, Dawn dumps Lee off-screen and returns to the office. She approaches the heartbroken Tim, who's in conversation with David and Gareth, finally giving him a kiss.
Careful, she's got fiancé.
Not anymore.
It's a beautiful sequence and it's beautifully filmed. Rather than milking her entrance for drama, Dawn simply waltzes into the office in the background, gradually taking over the focus. It takes both the camera and the viewer a second to realise what we're seeing, but when it clicks, our hearts melt. This was a long time coming, but it was well worth the wait. Number 3, the bird suit. We've talked at length about David's tragic termination, but this being The Office, it's not all sad. Leave it to co-creators Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant to find some comedy in the drama. After getting fired, David reveals that he's wearing a ridiculous bird suit.
That's that ruined, isn't it? That's what I was...
He's doing it to celebrate Red Nose Day, but the devastating news he's just received somewhat ruins the mood of the moment, at least for him. It's a very tricky mixture of comedy and drama, but the show pulls it off flawlessly. We laugh at the reveal itself, but the rest of the scene plays out with a very uncomfortable tone.
Little pockets and everything.
We don't know whether to laugh or feel bad, and therein lies the genius of The Office. Number 2, bring your guitar to work day. David never relinquishes an opportunity to show off. The proof is in how he completely hijacks the staff training day with rude and offensive comments, constant interjections, and the guitar he brought from home. What follows is pure comedy genius. David could put his talent to good use, but he squanders it on goofy songs.
Space Money answered, you no longer mind. I've opened your eyes, you're now colourblind. Racial. So
there's a campy self-importance piece about racial equality, one about a hell serpent, and one about free love on the Free Love Freeway. Yes, it's as ridiculous as it sounds. He also attempts to cheer Dawn up with a tune about Princess Diana's passing.
Was that originally about Princess Diana?
Nice. Originally, but fits perfectly, doesn't it?
Not the car crash bit.
David could very well be the most tone-deaf character ever created, and it makes for uproarious comedy.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. The dance. No other words are necessary. If you're an Office fan, you know what the dance is. To raise money for charity, Neil and Rachel perform a well-received and well-choreographed routine from Saturday Night Fever, accurate costumes and all. After Neil goes solo and receives even more praise, a jealous David does a dance number of his own.
You should have come to me, couldn't you, if you want? I know you'd rehearsed that as a plan.
What, did you dance?
Big time. More modern stuff than that as well.
We challenge you to watch it without completely losing your composure. In his own words, he fused Flashdance with MC Hammer, and the result is a truly unforgettable bit of, well, whatever that is. The moves are ridiculous, and the second-hand embarrassment we get is almost unbearable. That doesn't stop us from re-watching the scene often though. Needless to say, we're very grateful that this sequence exists.
So, and that's played, Dave. Yeah, well.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.